from the Crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 97 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. Tonight, I'm joined by Jody.
Hello.
Hello. And Mondo is out, but we have a special guest. Her name is Katie, and she is from Horror at the Store podcast. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you. Let's get right into it. Tell us about Horror at the Store.
So it is a horror movie review podcast at the world famous Comedy Store in Los Angeles, California. And we review horror movies with up and coming and big comedians as well as actors and all that jazz. It's really fun.
Yeah, you're not just doing it like from home on Zoom. You have like a studio.
Yeah. So I actually through this podcast got a job there. So I'm now a podcast producer at the Comedy Store, so that's really cool. So we have and the Comedy Store used to be run by the mob, and the downstairs basement area, that is where the mob would go and off people, if you will. So we're actually that's where we built the Comedy Store studios, and I was hired on in January to help out, and that's where we film. So yeah, it's legit, and we just built the set. We've been working on it for months now, trying to collect everything, make sure it's perfect. And
so what you're saying is it's haunted.
Oh, 100%. I never, when I'm alone down there, I don't feel like I'm alone. It's not a bad feeling. It's it's like someone's in the other room, but then you go to the other room and there's no one there.
So
but
you
it's
could say
like that.
It's the ghost of all the people who died on stage or under stage.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I think there are some comics that are, there's been a couple paranormal investigations where they've come in and have like communicated with the ghosts, and some of them are comics. Some of them are just normal people who just, had some terrible luck with the mob.
As you do.
As one does, yeah.
And what I love, or probably one of my favorite episodes you've done, is you had Anthony Jeselnik saying his favorite movie of all time, at least favorite horror movie, was Martyrs.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Which, like, I guess kind of tracks if you know him in his comedy, but
it does. It makes a lot of sense. That episode was so fun. I was exhausted.
Oh.
We shot that at like 11 p.m.
Oh, really?
And he's so nice, but anytime I spoke, I was like, I'm at a loss for words. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm at a loss. I don't know what else to ask you. But it's such a good episode. And that movie is
it's
pretty. Yeah, it's a hard watch.
It is a genuinely good movie. It's just a generally hard movie to watch.
Yeah. Right. And he's like, I would never see it again. Honestly, I would watch it again, but I would make someone who is not a fan of that stuff watch it and just sit back and watch them, struggle.
So you'll do a troll watch.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's the best.
And then we both, on different days, we both were just at Monsterpalooza in Pasadena.
Yes.
How was that?
It was very fun. It was my first time going. I think I've lived in LA for like 2-ish years, and each time I'm like, oh, I should go to this. Oh, I should go to this. And I just didn't have anyone else to go with. And then we got free passes through the Comedy Store. So we went, my producer John and I, and it was really fun. I didn't know what to expect. I'm a little upset that Matthew Lillard wasn't there.
Yeah.
Gonna be honest. I'm surprised Jamie Kennedy wasn't there as well. He's also a friend of the store and the podcast. And I was like, Jamie, where are you? But Matthew, Skeet was there, but he wasn't there Friday. But I'm a big Scream fan, so I was like, wait, where are you? How was today?
It was great. I've been there many, many times, so it's a lot of the same vendors, yada yada. But I just enjoy going around looking at stuff. There wasn't anyone there like was huge that I haven't seen before. But you know what? I went and talked to Dead Meats, James and Chelsea, and our friend Zoran. They're always good to see. And then our friend Caitlin Grant has her podcast, Plug It Up, and she's a huge Hocus Pocus fan. And for their 1 year anniversary, I got her a cameo from Vanessa Shaw.
Amazing.
And she was there this time. And sometimes if someone's not, their table's not particularly busy at the moment, I might just go say hi to them. Like if I have a cameo,
you feel bad.
Or I've like interacted. Well, I mean, there's ebbs and flows.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just went up and started to say, hey, I bought a cameo. I just wanted to thank you for that, because she put in like a lot of, you can tell when someone puts in a lot of effort into a cameo when they're not just reading what you tell them, or versus when they're like genuinely interested. And we talked for like 5-10 minutes. It was kind of cool. Like we're talking like our kids and stuff, you know. So I was talking about like
so fun.
I was just talking about how like Hocus Pocus is a gateway movie for like my kids. And I had the big Wednesday poster I bought for my daughter, and we were talking about Wednesday the show, and she has a 5-year-old. We were just talking about kids and stuff, and then she was like genuinely interested in talking to someone, because I think people, when there's this transactional thing happening at conventions, or like I'm paying you to, you know, take a picture or sign something, I think people like feel like once they've completed that, then they're just like want to run off and to go hide, because but since there wasn't anything like that in there, I felt like it was good that we got to have like a genuine human conversation together.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, it's just good to be around my people and hand out. Whenever I saw someone with a Tales from the Crypt related shirt, I handed out stickers and whatnot. Just
the and you're gonna hate. I don't know his name, but the guy from Tales of the Crypt.
John
the guy, is that the guy who was there?
He was there Friday. I think he was there on Saturday.
That guy. Yep, we saw him. And his line was very long, but
were you there on Friday too, or on Saturday?
I was only on Friday.
Oh, you were there on Friday. That's right. I thought you were Kyra was there. Kyra was there Friday or Saturday?
She was there Friday and then Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Now let's talking about our podcast for tonight. Have you watched any Tales from the Crypt before?
I have not. I've seen and we actually reviewed the first Creep Show movie, but that is about all I know about it. So this is my first stab at the TV series. Excellent.
All right. Well, let's just get through a quick announcement that our show is sponsored by Fright Rags. Father's Day is right around the corner, so if you're wondering what to get your dad for Father's Day, you can do a lot worse than going to Fright Rags. They have excellent t-shirts and socks and souvenir cups. I know, I really sold that one.
You did. You're like, if you have nothing else to get them, get them this.
But no, I wore my they have a mashup t-shirt of the Uncanny X-Men, one of the famous covers, and Dream Warriors. And I wore that today at Mustard Blues, and I got many comments on that. So if you want your dad to be cool like me, go to Fright Rags and use promo code DADSCrypt10 for 10% off your order.
And they've just in their newsletter released recently their upcoming like June editions that are coming out. They've got Prowler shirts, City of the Living Dead, Ghostbusters, Jaws 3D.
Jaws 3D. I mean, come on. What more do you need?
Yeah. Lots of good stuff. Always good stuff.
All right. Well, let's talk about tonight's episode. We're going to be diving into the opener of season 7. This came out in April 19th, 1996. Fatal Caper. This is more than almost a year and like 3 months after season 6 ended. So it was a nice big jump because they were filming Bordello Blood in between seasons. So we've had a little bit of a time off, and let's see how that works for them. Jody, give us a plot synopsis.
All right. So we open on the Crypt Keeper in England unpacking from his travels. And I do think I don't know if this is going to be a trend with season 7 or if it's just his first one. It's a little toned down Crypt Keeper. Like we've gone from all these elaborate costumes and everything to like just hanging around with a suitcase this time. So
I've seen some other episodes, and it goes back up.
Okay.
But it's not just a suitcase.
Yeah.
Mind you, he's unpacking some pretty good luggage.
So yeah, totally fair. I mean, it is the Crypt Keeper. He's not, getting his socks that he's, packed up in a nice way. It's all of his crypty stuff and body parts and,
And
now,
we do get those shots of like England, like we're proving that we're actually there, and which we've never got before.
Yeah, some B-roll of England there before we jump into the Crypt Keeper segment.
Yeah, it was like, we're in England, sure.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
I gotcha. How much did you pay for that stock footage? Good job, guys.
And when we get into our actual episode, we see an older man sitting on the edge of a bed, looking directly at the camera. He says, "My God, what have I done?" And then someone puts a gun to his head and we hear a shot. And then we go back in time to what led to this. That's the scene where, right after the shot, it should have been, I guess you're wondering how I got here. But, it did take me just a minute to kind of figure out what was going on because there was no explanation that we were going back in time. Yeah,
there's no like 1 week earlier.
There was nothing. So for just a minute, I'm like, okay, dude got shot and now he's just like having a conversation. Oh, wait. We're back in time. Got it.
He's superhuman. He can just pull out the bullet, heal himself.
Well, don't you know everyone in England is bulletproof?
Yeah. Sure.
Is that wow? We learned so much.
So we see him. His name is Mycroft. Every name in here is super British.
That's a great name. That's
a great
wonderful.
So Mycroft is walking around with his butler Redmond, talking about changing his will, and Redmond has brought in a young woman named Fiona Havisham to help with his will. I will be calling her Miss Havisham through this, so it sounds like we're talking about Great Expectations instead of Tales from the Crypt. We find out that Mycroft has a heart condition. He also has 3 sons, one named Frank, who was kicked out 15 years earlier, one named Justin, who's the oldest, who is kind of a hippie sex maniac. That's a fair description. He's all about the boning. That's kind of his whole thing.
New age.
That was such a weird scene too. I was like, I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, we got everything else. I was like, okay, this is like the night, not that there's gonna be a chill story, I knew it was gonna have a twist, but I was like, boobs. All of a sudden I was like, there's just boobs. And I was like, what's
this is HBO in the 90s. Welcome.
Like, wow. I mean, more you know. Okay, continue.
And he also has a son named Evelyn, who is a super greedy, just pain in the ass. Like, he's a terrible person. Frank was the smartest of his sons, but no one's heard from him in 15 years since he disappeared. With this new will, in order to receive their inheritance, though, Justin and Evelyn must find Frank within 6 months of their father's death, or all of his estate will go to charity. Now, Justin's still going to get his father's title of Lord, which he's very excited about because he thinks it will help him get laid. But other than that, they have to find this brother to get all the money. When Evelyn hears about this news, he freaks out and yells at his father and Miss Havisham and starts to fight with Justin, and Mycroft jumps in the middle of it and has some kind of heart episode, and the sons just kind of stand there watching it and saying he's faking, but he's dead. He's in a coffin. They're carrying him off to the grave. Justin doesn't show up for the funeral because he's getting a BJ from a servant girl. So,
well, he's like sitting there crying, and you're like, oh, maybe he is, because like, oh, he doesn't like funerals, and he's crying. Maybe you think maybe he's upset, but now he's crying because it's so good.
He has. You know what? He's only a man. He's got his priorities straight. That's whatever.
These servants. I don't have servants in my house. I don't know what they do for a person. Apparently, they are very accommodating.
And I think that might be. Is that the first blowjob we've had on the Tales episode?
I think so.
Wow. I'm honored. I'm honored to be on that first episode.
7 seasons. We're finally here.
Thank you for having me on this episort. I'm so honored.
Yes. So Miss Havisham asked Evelyn about Frank, and Evelyn says he was a sensitive child and he hated him. And then she tells him that there was a clause in the will that if only one of the sons remains alive, that son will inherit everything. This is a weird ass will, by the way.
Well, okay,
you have to find the sons, but if one of them survives, Yeah.
I've always wondered how like you can make games out of wills. Is that really a legal thing? Like,
I don't know. I've seen that a lot of times where it's like one of you will inherit it.
Like,
but tomorrow morning, if anyone else survives, no one inherits it.
Or like
So
it's kind of the Brewster's Million things. Like if I like put in my will, like everyone at my funeral has to show up naked, and whoever does first or something like that.
Right.
Can I like just make up rules and games for people to play and know where to get my money? Not
Sure.
that I
Why
have any
not?
money, but
Yeah.
Literally, why not? Like you make them think you have money, so
yeah,
you have all these weird things, and you're like, you guys are so gullible. You believed a
Right.
piece of paper. Wow, this is hilarious for me. Beyond the grave.
From beyond the grave, yeah.
At the end of it all, they say, okay, well, you've won, you get his entire estate. Here's $1,000 plus some medical debt that he accrued right before he died. So congratulations, you got it. All right, so Justin, wait, hang on. I lost my place. Oh, so if one of the sons remains, they're going to inherit everything. And she says that she'll help him be the only one who remains for a price. And so they try sending out letters to Frank. All their letters keep being returned to sender. Evelyn wants him declared legally dead, but Justin said, we've just started looking. We need to keep looking. A detective would cost money, so Justin suggests trying a seance to contact Frank. And Justin suggests that Miss Havisham might have a hidden agenda, and that's when she agrees to the seance. He goes to set up the room and goes full Benny Hill, I guess, which is appropriate since we're in England, just moving her real fast, setting that up to rig the room so he can fake the seance. He also puts on a really silly hat and goggles at the end of it all. I guess this is driving hat, but it's very funny. I don't know why he puts that on. I think that's something I need to get into. I need like driving clothes, like a driving hat and goggles and some fancy gloves that I wear when I get in the car. Real we need to bring that back.
Do it.
And when he leaves, Evelyn and Miss Havisham go and inspect the room and find the tricks he's set up. And part of it's a recorder. And on that recorder, it tells Mycroft, it's Mycroft's voice, which I don't know how he pulled that off. Can he just impersonate him great? Nobody explains that. Mycroft's voice telling Evelyn to continue searching for Frank. And Evelyn decides to double cross Justin's seance. So the seance begins, and Justin's trying to contact Mycroft. And he does say, I caught, as he's like invoking the spirits or whatever, he says, Klaatu Varata Nikto. And I just watched Evil Dead 2 with my kids again. And so I'm very in the Evil Dead mindset. That's an Army of Darkness reference, but it made me very happy just to hear it. Although,
which in turn is a reference. Which in turn is a reference to the Day of the Earth.
Right, it's an old reference. I don't remember when Army of Darkness came out in comparison to this episode.
That was like early in the 90s.
Okay, so enough that it could have been either. Anyway, after the pre-recorded message from Mycroft, the door opens and zombie Mycroft begins drifting in with like smoke all around him. But it's just a dummy made to look like Mycroft. But it scares Justin enough to give him a heart attack. So Evelyn and Miss Havisham take Justin's body to the family crypt. Evelyn begins to open their father's coffin to stuff the body inside. And after opening it, he looks back at Justin's body and finds him standing there alive and well. And then Justin removes a candle from a stand, and it's being held onto that stand with like a 2-foot long metal spike that he then takes and stabs into Evelyn, killing him. And then Justin tries to talk Miss Havisham into having sex with him in the post-murder, like immediately after murdering somebody. Like Justin is just ready all the time, ready to go.
I mean, your adrenaline's pumping.
I mean,
your endorphins are high. If you're a serial killer, you might be into it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my 20s. It was things were popping all the time, but I wasn't murdering anybody.
I mean,
okay. I was like, you remember your 20s. What did you do in your 20s? How many people did you kill?
It wasn't the murder. It was just, the readiness. But
got it.
Nothing aligns the chakras quite like murder.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but anyway, so stabs him and he tries to talk her into having sex. But then Mycroft sits up in the coffin and says, "Can I help you?" And the shock of seeing his dead father causes Justin to have an actual heart attack and die there under or over around his brother Evelyn. So both brothers are dead now. And Mycroft peels off the death makeup. This was the real setup that's been going on. Back at the house, Mycroft and Miss Havisham are having a nice drink together. And Miss Havisham says she talked to Frank and he's looking forward to seeing his father. And he says, "I'm looking forward to seeing him well." And "Well done, Miss Havisham," or he calls her by her first name, which I can't remember. But he's Fiona. Yes, he talks to Fiona now. And he tries putting the moves on her father and son, you know. He says, "I may be old, but I still know a few things. I know how to give a woman pleasure," which I don't think that line ever works.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Also, you know, really old, a lot of age gap between them, regardless of, you know, of the twist that, I was like, don't touch her.
Yes. If an old man tells a young woman, "I know how to give a lady pleasure," you should leave. You should leave.
Like, you should find someone your own age. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And so they go to his room and she starts to undress and he mentions what a nice body she has. And that's when she mentions something about the money she's about to inherit and turns around and we don't see it. But I think it's pretty clear that she reveals she's got a penis. She is actually Frank. That's what we find out. He's seducing his own son, who is now a woman. And
I mean, pretty much everyone in this family has to some degree.
Yes.
I mean, brothers. Aren't the British, aren't they known for incest?
I guess we're
as a country, maybe as the royal.
I don't know.
I mean, we're dealing with these. This is a
they're
lord.
Bulletproof and they're into incest. Let's find out what else we learned about the British this season.
He is a lord, so I guess he's titled. Maybe it's everybody with a title. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Redmond just appears. I don't know where he was hiding because they were taking their clothes off. So suddenly Redmond just is in the scene. But he appears with a gun, and we go back to the beginning where he shoots him in the head, just like in the beginning. And as they walk off, Redmond tells Frank, that she does have a beautiful body, and if he was a little bit younger, he might have a go at her. She said, "It's never too late to change." So, sure, why not? Everyone is trying to have sex with this woman, including her entire family.
I mean, she's not ugly. She's not ugly. Yeah.
And now she gets the inheritance, so she wins.
And now she's rich and good looking. I guess it makes sense.
Oh, there you go.
But that's the end. That's the end of our story.
All right, Katie, you're our guest, so you get to start us off. What did you think of this episode?
Well, first off, I want to say the theme song, it is so good. Yes. It is so good. I have heard it before because I have this Halloween playlist that, you know, around the spooky time or when I'm in the spooky mood, I will put it on, and this Tales of the Crypt theme is on there. So I've heard it, but I've never seen it like with everything. Perfection, wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of the best openings, like title openings of all time.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
Danny Elfman.
He's so good. He's so good with creepy stuff, and I love him.
Have you seen a picture of him? He's like a beefcake.
A beefcake?
Yeah.
Define beefcake for me.
He's pretty ripped.
Are we thinking of the same person?
Yeah. Jody, are you confirming?
I'm Googling over here. I don't know.
All right, go ahead. I derailed you.
Yeah. That's okay. I was like, now I'm like, stop. I'm like, is he? I don't think he's attractive, but he might be like jacked. Are you saying he's like jacked?
He's like jacked. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know. You can confirm or deny. That's and also cool to see the crypt keeper and all of his glory. You know, unpacking random limbs loved. I was like, this is already going to be good because whatever's happening, here for it. I thought the episode started kind of slow, and I was like, oh no, it's going to be one of those episodes. Because sometimes you know, the episodes are like that, but I feel like it picked up pace once, you know, they started doing the seance and the heart attack, and then it kind of went like boom, 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 and then the reveal with what was her name? Fiona, or should we
Fiona
say
Havisham.
Natasha Richardson,
Mm-hmm.
who we gotta love her. She's stunning. I love her. I was like, is that the mom from The Parent Trap? And I was like, it is the mom. I love her so much. Rest in peace, Queen. But her reveal of like, oh, just kidding, I'm actually working with your brother. Just kidding, I'm actually working with your dad. Just kidding, I'm actually working with something else. Just kidding, I'm Frank. And just going, I'm like, oh, she's the mastermind behind this whole thing. Go Frank, go Fiona. You're the best. Oh my gosh. Absolutely crushing it. Wanted to point out though, the brother, the really gross one, not the sex one, the other one.
Evelyn.
When he's introduced, he's like licking envelopes, but like just like 5 at a time and just staring into the camera. I was like, what a way to be introduced. Just like full on. I was like, wow, you know, to think about, I'm like, okay, if I was to be introduced, how would I want to be introduced? And it's not that way. That'd probably be like the last thing I would think about. But I love that they chose it for that character.
Well, then also at the end of that scene, he like picks up a plate just overflowing of breakfast food, and then picks up like a sausage and just like starts gnawing on it.
Yeah, just full hands. You don't even need forks. Yeah, and it was fun overall. But I do think it was a slow burn, but the payoff was worth it, I think.
Well, again, as someone who hasn't seen Crypt before, I don't think you're as conditioned as we are to be expecting all those twists. Like, you know, there's gonna be, you know, something else bigger is going on.
Yeah, I figured it.
Go ahead.
Because I watched, you know, the Creepshow movie, so I kind of know, like, oh, something, you know, there's a story, and then like there's a twist, and something, you know, something weird happens.
So and Creepshow was kind of designed to be a Tales from the Crypt, not knockoff, but like they couldn't get Tales from the Crypt when they made Creepshow, so Creepshow is meant to be like just kind of a companion, maybe is a better word.
A tribute.
Yes.
I knew it was similar, but like there were obviously going to be some variants to it. So, but yeah.
All right, Jody.
Yeah, I feel like I've been kind of dreading season 7, like for 6 seasons now, knowing that I've heard the quality really drops off. But this was actually a pretty fun episode. Like I enjoyed. I like anything that doesn't just have a twist, but has like a twist and a twist and a twist and a twist, and it keeps on going. I like all those reveals that Miss Havisham had, you know, double, triple, quadruple crossed everybody in the end. And that was cool. I saw a twist coming. I did not see all of these twists coming. And so by the end, I was guessing and trying to figure out what was going to happen. You know, it was a pretty tame episode, but they did have some wacky characters. Evelyn was horribly annoying, but in a like wacky character kind of way, and the same with the other brother, Justin. I thought this was a fun start to this season. You know, are the politics a little weird in 2023? Probably, but that's fine. It's not about those issues. It's about a twist and a twist and a twist. You know, it reminded me of something like oh shoot, what's that movie? Oh, Wild Things.
Sleepaway.
Or Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah,
I was going to say that also.
Sleepaway Camp definitely with that reveal. But Wild Things is another one of those movies where it's just like, oh, this is what the real story is. Nope, you're wrong. Here's what the real story is. Nope, you're wrong. And it just keeps on twisting around itself. And that's just really fun. I like when I don't know what's going to happen. And while I had my suspicions, it did not go where I thought it might. And so that was fun. I like being surprised, even 7 seasons in to still have surprises happening is a nice thing.
Yeah, I kind of figured out what that final twist was going to be about halfway through those surprises, because what I've learned watching many horror movies and shows and everything is like, if you don't see a character's face, it's intentional. If we don't see a character's death, that means they're not dead. So usually, because we never saw Frank's face, there's no reason to hide it from us, unless he was hiding in plain sight. So that's why I kind of figured Frank, Fiona, Frank, Einhorn, Finkel, Einhorn.
Finkel is Einhorn.
Yeah, so I kind of figured, and that was kind of a tropey thing happening again around that time. So I kind of put it together a little bit before. It didn't occur to me that everyone in the family had tried to sleep with her. And again,
I mean,
we're not trying to.
She's hot. She's hot. If you don't know if it's your son,
and it seemed like she was
now a girl.
Yeah, it seemed like that character was comfortable with a she pronoun. So I mean, it's a little messy on the pronouns, but for now, I think she is appropriate because that's how she was presenting. But yeah, like Jody said, we were really not looking forward to this, and especially like the fact they leaned in really hard to the fact that we're in England now. I was kind of like, oh. At least they acknowledge that there's been a change and not trying to hide it. So I guess there's only one way to go when you're in that situation, is just again lean forward. And this started off, like you said, as a very British open, like kind of first couple minutes that could have been like anything from Downton Abbey kind of setting, talking about wills and lords and titles, and then it just kind of devolves into your very typical Crypt episode. So I thought that was actually pretty well done. Kind of showing that, we might be in England, but we're still Crypt at heart, at least for now. So good on them for that. So this was directed by Bob Hoskins, who his only other two directing roles was a movie called Rainbow, another one called Raggedy Ronnie. Of course, as an actor, he's from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Brazil, Super Mario Brothers, Hook, and his last role was Snow White and the Huntsman before he sadly passed away.
Who was he in Hook?
Smee.
That's amazing. I love that movie.
One of my favorite stories about Who Framed Roger Rabbit is that when his kids saw the movie, they wouldn't talk to him afterwards. They were very upset with him, and he couldn't figure out why until his mother talked to their mother his wife talked to the kids, and the kids said that they were mad that he got to work with Disney with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and didn't bring them to meet them. The kids assumed thought they were real and was mad that they didn't get to meet Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse.
They are real. I don't know what you're talking about. That's super rude of him. I don't know why he would.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very excited when I saw his name pop up as the director, just because Who Framed Roger Rabbit, for me, may be a perfect movie.
Yes, I'll say that.
Perfect movie. And so, I'm happy to see Bob Hoskins anytime in any kind of thing.
No, he's always gives a great performance. And again, I thought directing was really good in this. I'm surprised he didn't get the chance to do more. And of course, Natasha Richardson, one of her big breakout movies was the Patty Hearst story, or a movie based on Patty Hearst. She was also in the original adaptation of The Handmaid's Tale as the main character. And of course, she was in The Parent Trap and sadly passed away after a skiing accident. Let's see. The oldest son, the tantric guy, he's played by Greg Weiss, who was in Sense and Sensibility, Johnny English, Law and Order UK, and The Crown. And he's married to Emma Thompson.
A very English pedigree there.
Well, and this is what's going to happen is that like when I do these like what have they been in parts, because we're getting to a lot more British cast, I don't know which of these are popular or pertinent to people, so I'm just kind of cherry picking. Also, he's the only one of the people in the cast that's still alive, which is kind of sad.
That's weird.
Okay, the other son, Evelyn, is played by James Saxon. He was in a 98 version of Les Mis, an 03 version of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, a ton of British stuff that I don't recognize. He was in this thing that has the weirdest title I've ever seen. Teabags Christmas Ding Dong.
Sign me up.
It's some sort of story. So I saw a bunch of tea bags. It's tea.bag. So Terry bags, Tiffany bags. I don't know the character, but some like series. I guess.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that Ebag and the Stones of Montezuma.
Yeah,
I don't know what any of this is, but it's intriguing.
Teabags, Christmas Ding Dong.
Yeah, everyone's favorite Christmas movie. We just gather the family.
I watch that. I watch that every year. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
My kids always clamoring. Is it time for the Christmas Ding Dong yet? Christmas Ding Dong.
That's what we want every year.
Yeah. And the elder Mycroft is played by Leslie Phillips. This guy started acting 1938. Again, a ton of British TV and movies, but his biggest things that I could recognize was Empire of the Sun, King Ralph, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the first one with Angelina Jolie. He was also the voice of the Sorting Hat in Harry Potter.
Oh.
So Jason, before we go any, so did production just completely move to England for this season?
Yeah, so I mean,
I need backstory.
Al's talked about it a bit more, and I'm sure he'll talk about it in a moment. But essentially, there was a big rift between a lot of the unions and Joel Silver, one of the producers, mega producer Joel Silver, who's one of the executive producers in Tales from the Crypt. And that's partly why Bordello Blood moved to Canada for filming, because they didn't want to deal with the American unions. And I guess partly for that reason, they decided to ship the entire production to London. They might have still done the Crypt Keeper segments in LA. I don't know that for sure. We can ask, but at least the production had to move over there, which means they had to get used to the whole, because they were working with the whole same crew. I mean, you know, some people were rotating in and out, but like Kevin Yeager and his crew and the puppet guys were there the whole time. So I'm not sure if they came along or what, but yeah.
I didn't realize that.
All right. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good episode. There's a couple of logic things that don't make sense. Like, okay, so the first brother has a heart attack. Why would they take the time to move into the crypt? Why would they just like leave him there, call the police, say, oh no, he had a heart attack? It seems much more suspicious to move the body.
Well, and the whole point was, if the other brothers are dead, that one inherits. So instead of him disappearing, wouldn't it be a whole lot easier if they just like, look, he's dead?
Yeah, exactly. You have a perfectly good dead body, but then that would draw attention to the father being not really dead. There's a lot of questions there. And then again, why would they stab that one guy? That again, stabbing looks really suspicious to a police officer. And then they shoot. They're
really working harder, not smarter.
Exactly. And then they shoot the main father. Like again, especially in England, a gunshot is very, very incriminating. So it just doesn't seem like a very judicious, or maybe that judicious, but efficient murder plot.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they could have done many other things to cause a man with a weak heart to have a real heart attack.
Yeah, but if you're planning something that's an elaborate murder plot, you don't need to have logic. You want this to be dramatic. You want the reveal. Like, what would he have done if Dad hadn't tried to seduce him so he could show off his junk to him? Like, a lot of pieces had to align.
That's true. But also, how did he know that his dad was going to do that? His dad was going to seduce him.
Yeah,
like, she just knows. She just knows. She's like,
she's
that hot that everyone.
She's like, my dad's gonna cave. Wait till he sees these knockers. That's so weird. That's so. I love it. That's so weird. I love it. Who wrote this? This is great. This is awesome. That's silly.
All right. But yeah, overall, I mean, this would be maybe a middle of the road episode compared to most Crypt. I have a feeling for this season, it's going to be one of the higher points. We'll see. All right, Jody, give us a not plot synopsis, a comic book comparison.
All right, so comparing these two, we've got Tales from the Crypt number 20 is where this story comes from. November 1950. Script by Al Feldstein, art by Jack Common from Common's Calamity, way back a million years ago, it feels like. And this is just one of those where we got a name from the comic and nothing else. So the story in the comic is these teenagers are playing a prank, and they take a body out of a casket and they dress one of themselves as like this monster, and they do this whole like, we're going to summon the devil, and this monster comes out, and they're trying to scare their friend, and their friend gets put into the coffin as part of a prank, and they close it up. But the Undertaker doesn't know that their friend is in there, and he buries the coffin again. So they've got this dead body out of the coffin, got their friend in the coffin. It gets buried again. And so they go to the Undertaker and like, hey, listen, we got to dig this up and get their friend out. He said, no, I'm not going to dig that up, because the body or the person who died, who's in that coffin, they died from leprosy. And anybody who touches that body or anything around it is going to catch leprosy. And then they all look at their hands as they realize they've all been handling this dead body, and they're all going to die. They're going to rot. So that's the big twist at the end, is you're going to die. Although
and they buried their friend alive.
And their friend is buried alive. But I think at this point I guess they're just like, oh, well, whatever. He's going to have leprosy in a coffin, and we're going to have leprosy on land. But yeah, no, nothing at all. It's an okay comic. It goes on for too long with the whole like fake thing. Not one of the best, but definitely nothing to do with this episode. I thought maybe like the twist would be different, because the whole sex change operation wasn't really an option in 1950, but it's nothing. None of this. It has nothing to do with it. So yeah. It's fine.
It's fine.
I have leprosy. Can't you treat leprosy now? Maybe you couldn't in 1950. I don't know. I've never had it.
Jody, look up some leprosy facts for
leprosy. Leprosy facts. It's a chronic inflammation. Once feared and stigmatized, but now it can be cured by antibiotics. So
and wash your hands.
If you ever bury your friend in a leprosy grave, just go take some amoxicillin. There's probably some around your house somewhere.
Totally
inspired, but I'm gonna save that for later. I'm gonna write that down
just in case.
I mean, you're the one who podcasts in a abandoned, like haunted mob murder room, so who knows what is down there.
Wow,
gotta be prepared.
That's very true. That's true.
All right, let's move to our episode rating. Again, we do 0 to 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. You can do half points. Katie, what do you give this episode?
I've been going back and forth. Because it was good, but I feel like, and it was my first episode ever watching it.
There's no wrong answer.
Also, yeah, I know, but this is locked in stone. Like, this is fun.
Someone's gonna put this on the Wikipedia,
2.75. Done.
All right.
Locking it in. It was good, but I don't not quite. Like, I wanted to give it a 3. It wasn't enough for a 3.5. Definitely not a 4. I liked it, but I feel like it was so it was slow in the beginning, and I wanted a little bit more, just like a little bit. Okay. But the end was good, so that's why I was like 2.75.
All right, Jody.
All right, I'm going to give this one a solid 3. And it may just be because my expectations going into season 7 were so low that for me to walk away going, that was good. Like, I pleasantly surprised. It was a good episode.
Yeah, I'm going with Jody on that one, the 3. Pleasantly surprised. Still waiting for the floor of the fallouts. Maybe we're just making too big of a deal out of it.
Maybe not. Maybe it's it's still Tales. Maybe it's still going to be okay.
Yeah, like I said, it started off, kind of slower, Britishy, but in the end, it got on track to some good crypt action. So I was happy with that. And I thought directing and acting, I thought was actually good.
Yeah. No, agreed.
Good all around, but not the most novel thing we've had.
I did like all the twists. All the twists were nice.
They were very fun.
Okay, and now a word from our Uncle Al. And we're back. All right, Mondo's not here, so in honor of the switch to England, we're going to do a song of the day from our good friends Iron Maiden. Friends, as in I've heard them before.
You know them? Wow.
Yeah, no, totally.
You're so well connected.
And since we've got some people buried in coffins, and we've got a lot of stuff taking place in the crypt, we're going with Fear of the Dark. And not just the album version, but specifically pretty much any of the live versions. I have like Rock Band 4 that I got used from somebody, and I still play it. And they have, I think it's the Brazilian, or the one they did in Brazil is the live version they put on there and as a downloadable, and it rocks. Clearly, it's a banger. So, the live version of Fear of the Dark from Iron Maiden.
So, Jason, as we go into this English season, should we English up this podcast any, like,
no
accents or something?
No.
I think we should.
See, my family's been watching the Great British Bake Off Junior, and so I'm hearing all kinds of accents constantly, and I'm like, I want to incorporate those into this.
Jody, I love it when you do accents. So if you want to,
all right, I'll prepare for the next one. I'm not prepared this time.
Okay,
but next time we're here,
No, I kind of feel like that might ruin the podcast if we start bringing accents and other
full Cockney next time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound like I'm selling flowers in a alley somewhere.
It'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful.
Beautiful.
I think you should. I think you should.
I've always wanted to go to England. I've been a big fan of a lot of their music, and just other, I don't know, things going on there. And I think I'd really enjoy a trip if I ever get the chance.
Yeah, my wife and kids went to Wales and London last year for a karate tournament, and the cards just didn't line up right for me to get to go on this trip. And I am very sad I missed it. I want to go eventually. I will go eventually. I need some fish and chips, authentic style.
Oh yeah.
All right. We're gonna take or Jody, do you have a segment, or we're just gonna go straight into the Patreon?
Yeah, let's go to the Patreon today.
Okay, so we're gonna go into our Patreon pits, where we do our Would You Rather. And actually we forgot to do one last week, so we're gonna do two of them this week. So last week we reviewed Tales from the Crypt presents Ritual. And we did a Would You Rather. I'm trying to find it. Oh, where'd it go?
This is good radio.
I know, this is totally great radio. Okay, wait, hold on. No, wrong date. So basically that movie, where is it, Jody?
Is it on? I'll look.
I'm having trouble finding it.
Is it on Patreon?
Should be on Patreon. So that movie, Ritual, starred Jennifer Grey, who of course starred in Dirty Dancing. So I cannot find this for the life of me, what we put on Patreon. But the question was, would you rather be put in a corner or carry a watermelon? Which of course are two references to something Jennifer Grey related in Dirty Dancing. And you guys talk about that while I tried to find that.
Yeah, I had to really restrain myself last week to not make a whole bunch of Dirty Dancing jokes when we were talking about it.
I feel terrible. I've never seen Dirty Dancing. It's one of the things that's always been on my list, and I just have I haven't seen like Pretty in Pink, 16. Like I haven't seen a lot of those. Like I like the 80s classics. I haven't seen a lot of those because horror is my thing.
Yeah, well, and I'm guessing you're younger than us, and so you didn't grow up with these like saturating your entire world like I did. Like there was no escaping Dirty Dancing when I was a kid. Like my parents had the soundtrack, and I remember it was on tape, and we had it in the car, and we listened to it for about 2 years solid, as far as my memory is concerned. Like there was a ton of that. Patrick Swayze singing "She's Like the Wind," it was good stuff. I've had the time of my life. That's a solid song.
It's a pretty good song.
Yeah.
So our Patreons, I finally found the post. Our
There we
Patreons.
go. I'm just vamping here, filling time.
You vamp away,
But
baby.
the watermelon part, though. So I know you're not supposed to go in the corner because you never put baby in the corner. I know that. But what's the watermelon?
So, and Joe, you can correct me if I remember the scene correctly. She's like carrying a watermelon, and she like walks past Patrick Swayze for the first time, or like notices her for the first time, or he acknowledges her existence. And after they're done, he's like, she was like, I carried a watermelon.
Yeah, something like that.
She just felt so pathetic for seeing like this like hunky guy she's been lusting after this whole time, and all she was doing was carrying a watermelon.
You know, it worked though. It worked.
Yeah,
Whatever
it
works
works.
for you. I don't want to be put in a corner. Don't.
Yeah,
Nobody,
I think I'm gonna go.
nobody puts you in a corner.
Because after you're done carrying a watermelon, you get to eat a watermelon. Watermelon's delicious.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, but also we know from horror movies you don't want to go in corners. Blair Witch.
Blair Witch.
Yeah.
No corners. No, thank you.
Very, very true. 100%.
Okay.
Nope.
Our Patreons voted that 71% preferred to carry watermelon, while 29% said be put in the corner. Maybe you're into that.
I was just saying, it sounds like maybe that's a thing for 29% of our listeners. They enjoy being put in the corner. Hey, no shame. Whatever makes you happy.
All right. And then for this week's Would You Rather, I asked, would you rather inherit a magic castle or a magic library?
Castle. Wait, is it the magic castle?
I didn't
like
put the magic castle, but have you been to the magic castle yet?
I have, and I have connections to it, and we're going again.
Oh, we gotta talk.
So excited.
We gotta talk, Katie. I need a hookup.
It's so fun.
I went for a kid's birthday party there.
Oh, fun.
Which, I mean, not like they didn't have like a party, but like during the day, like on weekends for brunch, it's like kid friendly. Yeah, first of all, brunch was fucking amazing. And then it was top notch. It was amazing.
Oh yeah, it is. It's really cool. It is. I love that stuff. It's probably the nerdiest thing I've ever done. Like which in like the most respect possible. But I was like, all these people are nerdy. This is great. Everyone's really excited about magic, and I like this. I love everyone getting so like pumped up about something that they're like obsessed with, and it's just the nerdiest place possible for magic. It's like the top tier, and I loved it.
Are you saying, okay, which is nerdier though, horror convention or Magic Castle?
They both are pretty nerdy. They're both pretty.
Magic is a little bit more commonly
magic
accepted.
I think it's they aren't. It depends. Yeah, I think. It like the horror cons. Even me going, I was like, oh, I like horror, and I went in, and I was like, oh, this isn't my entire personality. There's people who that's their whole personality, and that's awesome for them. But I was like, okay, I have other stuff going on. That's cool. I'm fine with, that's totally fine. I learned a lot about myself, but like they're both nerdy in their own way. But I definitely think, I think it's a different type of nerdy.
Yeah.
Like they're more like I don't want to, prestigious. Then like, like we're going to wear suits and you have to like dress up and it's this whole event, and, horror cons are like grungier and
well, okay, that's different. Well, okay, Jody, as someone who doesn't live in Los Angeles,
I was about to say,
have you heard of the Magic Castle? Are you aware of it?
I've heard of it. A lot of the podcasts I listen to are people who live in the LA area, so I hear it come up from time to time. But no, not very familiar with it personally.
So, Katie, how would you, for our listeners that might not be aware, how would you describe the Magic Castle?
So basically, it's where it's kind of like the Comedy Store. So if you don't know what the Comedy Store is, Magic Castle and the Comedy Store are about the same. But the Magic Castle is probably more prestigious and harder to get into than the Comedy Store because you just buy a ticket to get in. But up and coming and big magicians, from like David Copperfield to like, I met a guy at my friends and I were at a bar, and the second up, he's like, I work at I'm passed at the Magic Castle. Do you guys want to see some magic? And he like had just gotten like passed at the castle to like perform there. So it varies from like, Vegas performers to, people who are just getting started. And like, in order to get invited, you have to be, in order to go, you have to be invited by somebody else who's already passed at the castle. And then you go and you pay a lot of money for a dinner. A lot of money.
Well, it includes the shows and stuff. So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure it does. But a lot of money for a dinner. It was like $400. I was like, that's a lot. I've never paid that much for a dinner. That's okay. That was my first expensive.
It was
dinner.
When you went. It was $400 for one meal.
Yeah, we did because you have to buy an entree, and then we got drinks as well. So it like racked. I think there's like 4 of us. So it was.
Oh, okay. I think it meant per person. I was like, whoa.
No. I think it varies per person, but and like what day you go. But
so like I said, I went for brunch, and there was like a brunch buffet, and you just paid like a flat fee. So there was like prime rib and like lobster and like a ice cream bar.
I should go like brunch. That sounds way better.
It was good. It was really good.
So
it's like one of it's kind of like Disneyland where you walk in and then you're just like immersed in it. There's like no windows or anything. Like every corner you turn, there's like something cool. There's like an old school phone booth that like lights up with like a skeleton on the other side. There's like a piano that plays itself. It's really cool. It's really, you just kind of get into it. And you have to wear like, there's a dress code and there's rules, like you can't use your phone whatsoever, at least in the public areas. But it's an experience. So like I said, for the brunch, I want to go.
Just hearing that description, I would 100% be into that. Like when I was a kid, like this nerdiness is not something new for me. Like it's something that's existed for a long time.
Oh yeah.
So like when I was like 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there, I was obsessed with like learning how to do magic tricks. And I had the little like Klutz book of magic, and I had a little fake thumb in it so you could like stuff a rag down in there and make it disappear. And I would do like, we do like family get-togethers with like extended family. I'd be like, okay, time for my magic show. And
that's amazing.
Just super, super cool kid. I always invited all the parties. That's but and I watched all the David Copperfield specials, like back in the early 90s, he was on TV all the time and he made the Statue of Liberty disappear and it was big deal. And I watched every single one of those. I love that stuff. And so, I would 100% be into this now. The nerdiness from that never went away. It's still like in me somewhere, just waiting for Las Vegas or the Magic Castle or something to pull it out. And I just show up in a cape the next day. It's just there. I have officially reached the point that my 16-year-old son now like calls me a super nerd all the time, which to be fair, he's 100% super nerd too. I have raised them into these people. They have become nerds themselves. So whenever he says that, I know that it's, due to things like this podcast in the first place.
That's so funny.
All right. So back to our Would You Rather, our Patreons, 60% selected Magic Library and 40% Magic Castle. So again, we're going with a Magic Castle, not the Magic Castle.
Well, I mean, a Magic Library would be nice. I need to know exactly what the rules are. Is it like you open the book and can enter it? That shit's awesome. I would do that. I would love that. But a castle you get to actually live in. And so,
And also there might be other rooms. I'm thinking about like, more bang for my buck. A library is just one room. A Magic Castle, there's several rooms. So I'm like, are they just normal rooms? Or are they also magical?
I was about to say,
Well,
and I'm not saying if it's like good magic or bad magic, but you know what? Okay. The rent is too damn high, so I'm going with the castle. Give me free rent.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's like dark magic that's gonna fuck with me. At least the rent's free. I can deal with it.
I mean, you've got to deal with something, right? So you might as well be dark magic.
Something. Yeah.
If you had a Magic Castle, if every room was like themed differently, that'd be cool. Like here's my underwater room, and you walk in and suddenly you can breathe underwater and shit. Like that'd be awesome.
That'd be cool.
I'm going to go too far into this if I think too much about it, because again, the little nerdiness, like that little 10-year-old inside me is like, oh, we're talking magic. But yeah, no, a castle. I'd want the castle. You have a little prestige with it too. Everyone sees your castle, and you just look down on the peasants. That's nice.
Exactly. Priorities again.
All right. And then moving on to our last section of the evening, our advice section. Katie, what advice would you like to give our audience as a professional podcast producer, as a comedian, in general? What life advice would you like to give?
Oh, I didn't think about this one. Oh my God, I forgot about this one. Stick with it. I think that's tenacity is so important. Regardless of, if you take breaks or whatever, like whether it's comedy or podcasting or whatever. I know personally I struggle with depression and anxiety and stuff, and there are times where I beat myself up. I'm like, you haven't been to open mics in 2 weeks. I'm like, you know what? But you're doing other stuff. You're busy. You're not mentally there. And when it's, keep doing it as long as it's fun for you, but stick with it.
Yeah. Tell me about doing an open mic, because when I was in my early 20s, there was a bar that had like a Monday open night, and they had like half drinks or something. So just to get people in, and like, so we went quite often, but that seems like the most terrifying thing to do.
It's not, but it also sometimes is. I think it's easier to do shows, in my opinion, because it's people who aren't comics. Open mics tend to be, at least the ones I go to, they're only comics, and comics do one thing and they do one thing, and it's not laugh. They don't want to laugh. They want to make people laugh, but we do not laugh at other people's jokes. It's a competitiveness thing. It's we know the joke, we're analyzing, and I'm the worst person to take to a comedy show. I am like, I'll yeah, and I'll nod, and I'll I'll be present, but I won't laugh.
Is that because you're
really bad?
Is that because you're like dissecting the joke in your brain? Because you're deconstructing like what they're doing, and then you're kind of analyzing.
Yeah, but I'm like trying to see if I can. But it's the same thing with movies as well. And since I've worked on set as well, I'm like, oh, this is where they had a PA, doing a set or whatever, and it's like I think about all that stuff. So I hyperanalyze everything. So it takes the fun out of it a little bit sometimes, but it's a different type of fun for me. But yeah, so normal open mics that I go to, it's all comics, and sometimes it's scary and it's intimidating when you don't get the laugh, but it's you gotta do your 10,000 hours. You gotta fail.
Yeah.
It's you want to get better, you have to put in the work. Sometimes jokes are going to flop, and that's okay. But then you figure out, if it was just that room or if it's the joke itself, and then you keep trying it until you find the sweet spot of the joke, and then all good. So,
nice.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up another episode. Thank you, Katie, for coming on. Where can people find you?
Thanks for having me. You can find me on Instagram at KTHETTY. You can also follow me on Instagram at Horror at the Store. And the podcast is also on YouTube under the Comedy Store. YouTube, there's a little section for Horror at the Store. And we're on all streaming platforms for podcasts. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, next week we're going to be, like I said, we'll be switching up episodes between Tales from the Crypt episodes, and then we're going to be doing horror anthologies every other week. So next week we'll be covering Tales from the Hood. We'll see how that goes. We appreciate
maybe I shouldn't bust out the British accent for next week. I don't know if that works.
No accents.
2 weeks.
No
accents 2 weeks to prepare.
No accents.
No
for
accents
episode.
next week. They will get bad quickly. So no.
All right. We appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate it if you would give us a rating or review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify. Check out our YouTube for videos of these podcasts. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Woo.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.